What?
Sir, please record the
Yeah. So variable, what is a variable? Sorry, what is an instance variable? A variable which is defined inside the class, or we can say a variable which is defined a member of a class is called instance variable. Okay, and we have two ways to access the instance variable, that is like object, and another one is like object reference, and a variable which stores in the heap area whenever whenever the object is created. At that time the memory is allocated to the instance variable. Okay, so for like earlier we discussed about instance variable, like how we need to create a object. The object is like the class name, and variable like object reference equals to new class name of, we need to write. Once we have written, we can access multiple times using object reference. We can access multiple times. Okay, so what I will do is like int count. Okay, count. Instead of creating an object multiple times, what I will do is like I will print the value. I will access the variable in different times, like in different like in multiple ways. I can access the variable in multiple ways. You can see here like 10 10 10. Okay, for example, whenever I'm creating a object, and I'm calling that particular variable only one time, like I'm creating this new instance variable. Okay, whenever I write like this, what it will happen is like we can access only one time this variable. Okay, for every time we need to create a object, for every time we need to create a new object. Okay, due to that what will happen is like it will occupy more memory. It will occupy more memory. So that's why we are not using this like new instance example, like new object dot variable name, because every time we need to create a new object. For that it will take more memory. Okay, so we are following like we can create only one time, we can create an object only one time, and we can access that particular variable or method multiple times. Are you getting right? Instance variable.
Sir, can you repeat it once again?
Yeah. So like in instance variable, we can access a variable two times. Okay. Like in the instance variable, generally there is a two ways to access. One is like object, and another one is like object reference. So what it will happen is like whenever we are creating the object along with the object reference, so we can access that particular variable. We want to access that instance variable more than one time. Okay, like this we can create the object. Using this object reference, we can access the variable multiple times. Okay, but whenever we are creating the object, like new in like a new object, this one. So for every time we need to create, like for every time once I access this variable, again I want to access this variable one more time. In this way, like object, it will occupy more memory. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
So whenever we are creating the complete object with the reference, we can access more than one time. But whenever creating an anonymous object, so at that time, we need like we can access only one time that particular variable. Okay. So what is the instance variable? So the instance variable is nothing but a variable, a variable which is defined inside a variable which is defined within the class is called instance variable. There are two ways to access instance variable. One is object, another one is object reference. okay, and which is stored in heap area, and the object like the variable memory is allocated whenever object is created. Okay, and there are two ways. I think there is a disturbance. Now it is clear. So, are you getting right? Instance variable. I will explain you one more time. A variable which is defined within the class is called instance variable. There are two ways to access instance variable. One is object, another one is object reference, and which is stored in heap area, and the memory is allocated to the instance variable whenever object is created. Okay, using object reference, we can access the variable multiple times, more than one time. And whenever we are using object, we can access that particular variable only one time. After that, we need to create a new object for calling that particular variable. Are you getting right? Instance variable.
Yes.
Yeah, these are the major important variables, and one more variable is there, that is a class variable. Going forward, we will discuss on this, like local variable and instance variable. Is there any doubts?
No.
Okay. So generally what we do is, like in the instance variable, we have a two ways. One is like object and object reference. So whenever we are using object reference, we can access that particular variable multiple times. And whenever we are using object, we can access that particular variable only one time. For second time, we need to create a new object. It will occupy more memory due to that. And one more thing, whenever we are whenever the program is executing, so at that time, whenever the object is created, at that time the memory is allocated to that particular instance variable. Okay, and when it comes to the local variable, the memory is allocated whenever the method is called. Okay, and here in the local variable, the memory stored in stack area, and in instance variable, the memory stored in heap area. Okay, and yeah, like we have and one more thing, in instance variable, we cannot in instance variable we cannot access directly. Okay, in instance variable we can access object and object reference, but the direct is not recommended. Direct is not recommended, and it will not work. Okay, direct is not recommended. Are you getting right? Instance variable and local variable. And scope of instance variable is like scope of local variable is like within the method. And scope of instance variable is like whenever the scope of instance variable is like whenever the class within the class. Scope of instance variable, we can say within the class, and whenever the class is extended to the subclass, in the subclass also we have access for that. Okay, in the inheritance concept we will discuss about it. Is it clear? So can anyone tell me like how to declare what is this variable?
Current object.
No. What is this variable?
Sorry.
This is the instance variable, a variable which is defined inside the class, or a variable which is defined within the class is called instance variable. Okay, and what is this variable? A variable which is defined inside the main method is called is called local variable.
Local variable.
Local variable. Scope of the local variable within the method. Okay. Scope of the instance variable is like within the class, we can say, and within the class and subclass, according to the access modifier, we can say, and or otherwise we can extend that a particular class. It is the scope within the class, we can say. Now itself we can say within the class. Okay. Like how many ways to access instance variable?
Two ways.
Two ways.
Object, object.
Object and object reference. So if I call the variable with object reference, can we call more than one time?
Yes.
Yes. And if I like if I'm following the object, can we call the variable more than one time?
No.
No, because like for every time we need to create a object and we need to call. Okay. And whenever like when the memory is allocated to the instance variable, when the memory is allocated to the instance variable, whenever object is created, whenever object is created. Okay. And when the memory is allocated to the local variable, whenever method is called, whenever method is called. Okay. So for example, I have not declared any value for example, this is a local variable, right? So I'm not declared any value. So what will happen? What will happen? It will throw an exception that is like initialize variable. Initialize variable, because in the local variable we need to declare the like we need to initialize the variable. Okay, or otherwise it will give an error. Please initialize the variable like that. Okay. And for example, in the instance variable, I have not declared any, I have not initialized any value, but also it will take the default value. Default, what is the default value of integer?
0.
0. So let's try to print this. You can able to see like 0, 0, 0, 0, because the default value is 0. Okay. And let's see, there is a variable char. I've declared it. It is also an instance variable. So how we can call it? With the help of reference in .c run. You can able to see it is a null. Okay, it is giving nothing. Okay, and for example, I will declare another variable called boolean flag. I will just I just declared this variable and I want to access this variable as well. So with the reference in dot flag, save, right click, run as Java application. You can able to see the default value is false. Okay. So like this, we will write, okay. You need to remember these all things like local variable and instance variable, because these are the major important, which will play a major role. Okay, going forward, like we have a different methods. Okay, like such as instance variable, instance method and static method, instance method or class method, we can say. Okay, going forward, we will discuss about it. But you need to more focus on like instance variable. Once you got the knowledge on instance variable, you can able to do the same thing in instance methods. Okay, so in that instance method, what we will do, like same thing we will follow. and we have like two ways. One is like object and another one is object reference. For that also we need to create an object. Okay, just you need to focus on this instance variable, and you need to focus on this local variable as well. Okay, this one is also important. Okay, is it clear? Local variable and instance variable. Is there any doubts?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I will share this document as well. So I will, I will prepare neatly and I will share with you. So you need to refer this document one more time. This is important one. Okay, and like local variable and instance variable, most important, because once you have the idea about local variable and instance variable or static variable, same way we will call the objects, like same way we will call the methods. Okay. Okay. Is there any doubts? Please let me know, or otherwise we are good to wrap up.
Farooq, for object, if
Yeah.
we wants to retrieve the value, you
Yeah.
said like we can't retrieve. Again, we have to create, for by calling object
Yeah.
method.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
so
yeah.
what is the issue is like, so generally whenever we are creating a demo obj equals to new demo, in the sense what it will do is like like in the demo, new demo, what it will do, generally I will explain you. So here, whenever we have created in the class, we have a variable called int test case count, and we have another variable called, let's consider boolean flag equals to true. Okay, and we have another variable called boolean char. Okay, we have a four variables, that is three variables that are instance variables. So what we have did is like we have created an object. So for that, first variable is like int test case count. Okay, which is present in the object, because whenever we are creating the object, at that time the memory is allocated to the instance variables, right, generally. So for that, like test case count, for that memory is allocated to the heap area, and like boolean flag, that one as well instance variable, so memory is allocated to that one as well. And like char c, that one also instance variable, the memory is allocated to that. Okay, so for this object, what we are doing is like we are creating a object reference. Consider it as obj. So once we create this obj, a new like test case, for example, demo obj equals to new demo, we have created an object. So what it will happen is like it will store this obj. Okay, it will store this obj. So using this, what we are doing is like obj dot test case count we are writing, obj dot like flag we are writing, obj dot like char c we are writing. Okay, and what we are doing is like all the values are storing in the obj in the sense object reference. Okay, but whenever we are creating the anonymous object, we don't have this reference, right? We don't have this reference. Only we need to access within the obj, look, within the like object, within the object. This is like you can consider it as new demo of. So inside that new demo of, we have the values. So what we are doing is like new demo dot test case count, new demo dot flag, new demo dot char we are doing. But I want to access the same things in one more time. But we need to create one more object for that. Okay, while we are practicing the object. Okay, and whenever we are practicing the object reference, we can access multiple times with the help of this object reference. Are you getting right?
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
So only just we are creating only one time. Okay, and here we need to access that particular variable one time, and like again we need to access that particular variables. We need to create another object, but here just we are declaring only like creating one time, and we are accessing multiple times. We are accessing multiple times. Okay, but here we need to create on one time, and again we need to access that thing. We need to create another object. So here the memory got like the memory is wasted here, but here we're just creating only one time. Are you getting right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
So due to that, we are following like generally the major in different organizations also, we are following the only way, that is like object reference. Okay, like this we are creating object that is like a demo, like class name object reference equals to new class name of. So any class name you can follow the same standard like that. Okay, or some people say like object obj equals to new object also they can say. Just for your understanding, because we are creating with the help of class only, so what I have written is like a class name obj equals to new class name. This is also an object. Okay, and this obj is a reference. Using this reference we are calling. Is it clear? Everyone, is it clear, or is there any doubt like instance variable or local variable?
Yeah.
Tomorrow we will discuss about static variable, because like once we go to the static variable, you will get confused, because here in the local variable we will access directly, but in instance variable we are accessing object and object reference. Okay, and in static variable or class variable, we have three ways that like we will discuss tomorrow, because you will get confused like how these things are doing like that. So just remember all these things. Tomorrow we will discuss this all things one more time. One more time in the sense, in between the like static variable, we will discuss about it. Okay. So I will share this document with you. Okay. Just go through this document, and like if you have any doubts, please let me know.
Anna, please share yesterday's recording.
I already shared my yesterday's, I think. Like, yeah, I will check and I will share with you.
Okay, Anna.
Everyone, is there any doubt?
At present, no.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I think we are good to wrap up. Sai, is there any doubts, or like Purnima, is there any doubts? Everything is clear?
Yes, sir. Up to here, it's clear.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I think we are good to wrap up. Okay, I will share this document.